Good morning. Oh, there we are. Welcome to our Board of Supervisors meeting for mid-October. We would like to begin our meeting standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome our guests today, as both from the Women's Club. Okay, very good. Our first item of business is a approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting and work session held October 3rd.
So moved.
Second.
I'll make that unanimous. Motion carries. Next we have Sheriff Allred regarding some educational and training aids for the Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today? So coming to ask for approval for an unbudgeted capital purchase for 2 ViewSonic view boards and accessories for the education and training rooms. For the training room, that one is going to be a little more costly. It'll be $4,783 for that. For the teacher's education room, which is back inside the jail, that will be $3,905. But we're asking for this as we're in need of some of that equipment in there.
Very good. And funding is taken care of from the jail funds. Is that correct, Julie? So, okay, that's very good.
Chairman, also move that we approve the unbudgeted capital purchase of the 2 ViewSonic view boards and accessories for the education and training rooms.
I will second that.
Thank you very much. I'll make that unanimous.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Next we have our county attorney, Scott Bennett, regarding the use of RICO funds for a 911 recording system.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As has been listed in the materials provided, we are seeking permission to spend $6,700-ish to assist the Sheriff's Department with purchasing a new recording system. This was actually a budgeted item for them, but inflation strikes everyone. And in the time that they received their bid up until the budgeting for it was approved at the beginning of this new fiscal year, inflation struck, and my understanding is there was an increase in their bid of approximately $10,000. After negotiating by the Sheriff's Department, they got that down to $67,21. Now, the challenge is that's unbudgeted funds, and granted with the pinch that everyone's feeling, they didn't want to take that from the general fund. So they asked if we could use RICO funds. After discussion with everyone over at the Sheriff's Department, especially Under Sheriff McCormie's, I decided that this is something that would be a benefit to the entire county. So while the Sheriff's Department is receiving the money to purchase this system, our dispatch is used by every area agency. Thatcher, Safford, Pima, even U of A has a need for our dispatch system. So with that, this is a need that needs to be addressed that will benefit the entirety of the county. And as such, I thought it was an appropriate expenditure. Now, typically, this is much more than we use out of RICO for one specific purpose, but as it comes at a time that I think we need to do everything we can to help each other out, and more importantly, we need to not take this money from the general fund. We need to use it from the criminals that we took it from. So anyway, with that, I'd ask your permission to allow the expenditures of the Sheriff's Department can make this purchase.
Could you remind me what RICO stands for?
Oh.
I mean, not to put you on the spot. If you don't know it, that's fine.
No, I do. It's racketeering something. It starts with racketeering.
Okay. Okay.
You know, I'm going to look it up, and
okay.
Just glad the media isn't here to point out the.
Sorry, Scott, I can't help you. I'm drawing a blank too.
Any discussion?
I just think it's great that, and I applaud you for your cooperation with the other entities. It's nice to see you working together, and the benefit goes to all that's in the county. So thank you very much.
I had one request, and that is it possible, since this is not an inoperable system, is it possible that there are some small counties or municipalities or even third world countries, rather than just mothballing it and discarding it, to actually repurpose it, have it go somewhere where it might be needed, rather than just in a bin of old electronic parts?
Wow, I'm going to be 0 for 2 today.
Okay.
Ultimately, I think that could be best addressed by the Sheriff's Department. My involvement was being
Just
the money
funding.
guy to come up with the difference. So
Okay, very good. Well,
I would hope so.
okay. Well, we'll talk offline about that. So thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll I'll give a motion to approve the spend of $6,767.21 from RECO Fund to assist the Graham County Sheriffs with the purchase of a recorder and replacement system for 911 calls.
I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous. Thank you
Thank you so much.
very
And,
much.
well, with your permission, I'll be excused to go look up what RICO is.
Okay. Next county, our county engineer, Michael Bryce.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dustin. Good morning. The first item is we were notified that there was a fund related to the fire that have been held, that happened up in the Klondike area, and there was some funding available, and we would like to see if we can pursue that funding to see if our project would qualify, which is that low water crossing at Cottonwood Wash and Klondike Road. I can't remember, I think the whole board actually met there one day to look at that crossing. And we're going to apply to see if we can obtain some of those funds to make that crossing a little more stable, so that we don't have to repair it every time. We're kind of, in doing this, we're gonna see if they will approve typically they want you to put back exactly what was there, but we think that what was there just keeps, if you keep doing the same thing and it keeps going away, that doesn't improve it. So we're gonna put a little more in it, see if they approve it. If they don't, then we'll go back and just at least see if we can get money to put it back more like it was.
Did it have a concreted low water crossing at one point?
Well, not recently, but at one point it did. I mean, either it did or they used remnants of concrete and from somewhere to dump in there, because as we have investigated downstream, there are chunks of concrete with rebar markings in it and so on that are down below. But I've never seen a concrete crossing in there.
Okay, thank you. Very good discussion, questions?
Well, that's a much needed project. Every time we get any type of rain, substantial amount of rain out there, that washes out, and out we have to go and fix it constantly. We're back and forth, so it'd be a great deal to get that fixed once and for all, and hopefully it would handle it. So I have no opposition to that.
One question, and that is the size of the request, and is there a match?
Match is not necessary. We haven't come up with the size of the request yet. It's, as you know, low water crossings and crossings, as we've looked at, have been a lot more expensive than we have anticipated in the past. So the maximum limit on it is $500,000. So I suspect that whatever we put in will be less than that. But we're also, there are some culverts that have been sitting at the highway yard for some time, and we're going to propose that as part of our match, that we would donate those so that the contractor could put those in to take some of the water under the road instead of over.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve to apply for the grant for the Arizona Post-Wildfire Infrastructure Assistance Program to repair at the Klondike Road at the Cottonwood Wash area.
I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous. That motion passes. Thank you. And your next item is regarding an easement from FMI.
Yes, this is an easement from FMI. It's concerns the road that goes past the transfer station down at Ashurst and on up to the Ashurst Cemetery. And so we needed an easement for the electrical line to service our building, which has been placed there at the Ashurst transfer station. And at the same time, we decided that it would be prudent if we could bundle actually getting an easement for the road at the same time, since there was not one in existence. And so they have signed that easement, and so I'm proposing that the board accept that easement.
Thank you for your work on that. Any discussion?
None here.
I'll entertain a motion for approval then.
Make a motion to approve and accept the Ashurst Cemetery Road easement for the road and utilities from Freeport McMoran, Inc.
I'll second it.
And I'll make that unanimous. Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Next we have from our probation department and courts, Josh Halverson.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, today I come to request approval to reclassify an adult probation officer position, excuse me, to an adult probation officer supervisor position. The reason for this request has to do with a lot of the workload that has been changing and growing in our department. We have currently, structurally, we have positions of chief, deputy chief, and then we have a supervisor in our juvenile department and a supervisor in our adult department. Our adult department staff is just about triple of what our juvenile department staff is, and with a lot of the various activities and things that we have going on project-wise with our specialty courts, drug court, the wellness program, and those things, the workload has increased substantially for our adult department. And so something that we had requested from the AOC was to fund this change, to just reclassify. It doesn't create a new position, it just gives the ability to have a second supervisor to assist with those needs. And it took some time to get all the details worked out, but they responded with full support to fund that now and into the future. And so we are hoping that that is something that we could make that change, so to progress our department along, and happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. I note that it's been funded and approved by the courts, Arizona Office of the Courts. So any discussion or comments?
I just want to thank them over there for I hear a lot about the success on the drug court. Thank you for that. It seems like it's been quite a success, and to kind of piggyback down to some of the projects that I've been working on, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the reclassify an adult probation office position to an adult probation officer supervisor position.
I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous. Thank you very much, Josh.
Thank you. Thanks.
Next we have Steve McGoy, who's here to request a special liquor license for the Women's Club for an FMI picnic.
Good morning, gentlemen. I think maybe we'll let Alma and Brianna tell you what they want to do here. They are here to get approval for a special liquor license, and they need it post haste. It needs to get to the state so they can have liquor November 5th. So you girls want to come up and tell them what you want to do?
Chairman, thank you so much for having us. Yeah, we are requesting a special event liquor license from the state and from you as well, so that we can host the beer garden at the FMI picnic for Safford at the county fairgrounds on November 5th. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer.
Very good. And any discussion or concerns or comments?
None here.
All right.
This will be easy. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the special event liquor license for the GFWC Women's Club Safford for the fairgrounds on November 5th.
Thank you very much.
I'll second it.
And I'll make that unanimous. You're very welcome. Best wishes, and hope that you raise a bunch of money from people drinking responsibly.
Thank you, ladies, and I'll try to get this to you later this morning, and thank you, gentlemen.
Next, we have our Chief Financial Officer, Julie Rodriguez.
Hi, this is really a fair issue, but I helped Trey out on this one. So most of the employees for the fair were hired as temporary employees through the county, but we had a couple people not show up, and so we had a couple last-minute hires that had to be done on a consulting agreement. So this is just a request to ratify consulting agreements with Ariel Nye and Tyrone Brooks for the 2022 county fair.
Any discussion?
No, just glad they stepped up and helped us.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion for approval or for ratification.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve to ratify the consulting agreement with Ariel Nye and Tyrone Brooks for the county fair, 22 county fair.
I'll second it.
Thank you. I'll make that unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Julie and Ty. Next, we have our county manager, Dustin Welker, with 3 or 4 items of business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This first item relates to one of our large capital projects that we have budgeted for at the fairgrounds to start making some improvements there, made possible through our ARPA dollars. The first step that we need to do is start doing some planning on the several different areas out at the fairgrounds, and we divided it up in about 20 to 25 different maps, and met with Mr. Bob Kempton, who is a retired landscape architect or landscape designer. I'm not sure if he ever got an architect stamp, but he's done a lot of landscape design, and we've negotiated with him a contract for $50 an hour to start working on different landscape features and concepts throughout the fairground. And he no longer has his business, but he was willing to do this as a contract employee, thus the consulting agreement that we present to you. So like to recommend for approval or request approval for this contract with Mr. Kempton to do landscape architect services at the fairgrounds.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
Is there a timeline on this, Dustin? Do we have a timeline on this when he's gonna try to complete it, or?
So I've already given him the maps. He's been looking at them and working on them, and I have a meeting with him next week on the 19th to go over his progress. And what I'd like to do is see what he's done, and then have a larger meeting with the Board of Supervisors, park staff, and maybe even identify some of our key users out there, maybe AYSO, Little League, and different organizations like that, and form a committee as we start looking
Exciting.
going forward on this.
2 questions. One is will his CAD system be compatible with the county, so that will his files will we be able to upload and utilize his files after he has finished the work?
So he does not have CAD. He's paper and pencil type, so we'll have to take his stuff and
Upload
make
it.
our own, yeah.
So he won't be using GIS then on his work?
No.
Okay.
We've printed the maps out for him. He's definitely old school, and what we're hoping to get out of him is more concepts and things like that that we'll make into our own maps.
Very good. And then this might be as much for Michael as for you, but as far as the water distribution system, you know, some of those, getting the pressures and the volumes of water, is that something that we'll have to hire a consultant to do at some point?
So that's a very good question, Mr. Chairman. I had that conversation with City of Safford just last week because we've been asking for those numbers, and they're still, as they're building the system, they're still not confident in giving us what kind of flows and PSI they're going to have out of that pipe. But this project right here, coming up with the design, is the precursor to then, once we have that design, we'll send that to an engineer. Once we have those PSIs and flows, that we'll be able to design a system that will feed the entire park.
Great.
So that is the plan, but they are going to work on it this week. I also talked to Morgan Sill. He of course has the water system, and he's going to meet with Mr. Casella and Jason Brimhall this week, from what I've been told, and see, and their engineer, which is Bowman, and see if they can give us any numbers with confidence. But if not, we may have to wait till January when the system's done, which might work fine with our timeline anyway.
Very good. Well, I like the idea of segmenting into 19 small sections. That way we, rather than a little bit spread out, we can do, go from one really nice upgrade to the next. So very good. Thank you for your follow through on that. I know that especially Supervisor Smith is a big advocate of that, and that'll be very positive for the whole county. So I'll entertain, if there's no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion. And there's not a cap on this. Did you discuss at $50 an hour, are we talking 200-300 hours? Do you know?
I don't know. I anticipated a PO of $10,000.
Okay.
So if things are going well and we go over that, we'll revisit it.
Very good.
That's the original cap I put on it.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the consulting agreement with Robert Kimpton for landscape architect service at Graham County Fairgrounds.
I'll second it, and if I can, I'll say Bob is a great pickup for Graham County. What a great idea. I mean, in the late 90s and early 2000s, I would spend hours at home shows next to him, and he was a really sought after landscape designer in the Tucson area who was very, very busy with a great big display and he kind of retired when he came back here, and so to get him to help is great. At this rate, I think it's a great choice, a good find.
Well, thank you. And I didn't find him. Paul's the one that suggested it, or maybe it was you, Dan. One of you did.
Well, I just he's in our neighborhood, your mom's neighborhood, and noticed that he had a little extra time. So yeah, it is. It's great. We hope for good things. But thanks. So we
have a first and a second.
Second. Okay, I need to approve that motion. Make unanimous. I was going to double check. Thank you very much for those comments. Next item.
The next item is another project we're working on, which is the probation improvements, and that's a project we've identified, and the engineering did a very good plan for us when we budgeted this back in March. We didn't have a complete set of plans, and we anticipated about $25,000. Once we did the set of plans, a full set, and realized we needed a few more retention walls and sidewalks and needed to cut the road back a little further than we thought at first, it was a little more. Our engineer's estimate that Michael came up with was just shy of 32,000. Does that sound right, Michael? Was that your estimate, or was it 33? 33,000. So we did get a bid at about 29,000 and change, and that was from Brandon Brown. So we're happy with that. That bid compared to our final estimate, but it is higher than what we budgeted at 25,000. I'm asking for a not to exceed at 35,000 because there are some costs that will go into this capital project from engineering. We developed the plans in-house, so those will be attributed to the capital costs, though they are in-house costs, so they're not anything over than what we normally budget. But I am asking for not to exceed 35,000 in case there's something unforeseen as we especially take out that gate and motor, which I'll note we are going to take to the highway yard, and Steve said he could use it as a backup, so we'll store it up and hopefully use it someday.
Very good. Any discussion, concerns? I would just note that I'm looking forward to the upgrade, because it just seems like with the current configuration, it looks like those poor people are going back to prison, through the chain link and into so it'll be a good improvement. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve to increase the budget capital project from 25,000 to not to exceed 35,000 for the probation entrance ADA improvement project.
I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous. The motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have an opportunity to share some of our activities and progress on some of our projects that we're doing on behalf of the county and its residents. I'll start with our county manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will just mention one thing, and that's the fair. Trey Andrews is here, and just want to publicly thank him and Rose for all their hard work. And if Jim were here, I would give him kudos too. Jim and his crew with Mike and Johnny and Kevin, they just did a fantastic job. We had bumps along the way, but they responded appropriately throughout. We have had a lot of good feedback from the community, from all the different organizations that put a lot of time and energy into this event. There's certainly things that we've identified that we'll do different and better going forward, but overall, I thought the fair went really well. I thought our luncheon went well. I liked the change of venue here. We had about 60 people. We filled up the tables, which was nice to see, and had some very welcome dignitaries come and visit us, and it just went really well. I had a lot of people comment and ask questions during the fair, but my favorite one was I had a couple come up to me and they said, "We just want to tell you that we've spent the last 2, almost 3 days here at the livestock area, and every time we go to the restrooms, they're clean. Thank you." Anyway, I just thought that was a great comment. You just don't get those kind of thank yous very often, but like I said, we'll things that we can certainly do better, but overall, especially for Trey and Rose's first fair ever, I thought they did a fantastic job, and just wanted to tell them thank you. I just wanted to tell the board thank you for all your support. I know you filled a lot of calls on the fair and all that, and we appreciate your support, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we'll have our Vice Chairman report on his activities.
Yeah, I'll be pretty brief. On the 4th, I went to the Downtown Association Light Parade meeting that we're starting to plan for the light parade in December, but I just want to say I hope the county has another float in that parade like we did last year. I think it was a lot of fun, right, Hannah? Yeah, okay. And on the 4th, I also attended the Substance Abuse Coalition monthly meeting, and on the 6th, traveled to Tucson briefly for a quick meeting at CSA, and then on the 7th, attended the fair parade and the luncheon and the fair as well. On the 11th, I had a Zoom meeting for the United Way grant training for the 4th quarter grants that's coming up that was very helpful. And then on the 12th, a Zoom meeting for Air Viper Watershed Alliance, which is an up-and-coming project out in the Klondike area that seems to be very interesting and going good. And on the 12th, the Safford Downtown Association meeting. I also want to piggyback off Dustin and give the fair, Trey and his whole group, kudos for the job you did. I talked to several people out there, several of your workers. They're a lot of fun to talk to. Johnny is quite a character, and he's quite a person to talk to. But thank you so much, Trey. You and your guys did a great job. A lot of compliments on it. So good job. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Supervisor Smith?
I attended a lot of the same meetings we were all at, and one interesting meeting was Friday. Arizona Town Hall is an interesting process if you've ever gone to that. Last time I'd been there was in 2008, and it was entitled Arizona's Fiscal Roller Coaster. It was right after the crash, and I don't know if we learned anything from it, but it's an interesting process because they take people from all walks of life and elected officials, which is a different walk of life. But they, anyways, to bring them to the same room, same place. They used to just meet once a year, but now they do these regional town halls around Arizona. And this year's topic is mental health, substance use, and homelessness, which are all not necessarily the same, but many times they're related. It's hard to talk about any one of those without the other two. Homelessness is probably the byproduct or the symptom of maybe the first two. But and it was interesting because we're one of the last town halls that they've had before they do this, the one at the state level where they produce the paper that then, depending on the legislature, goes straight to the trash or could be used to make improvements in Arizona. But they did a town hall among homeless people in Phoenix, where they brought people together with incentives for cash and food and asked them what they wanted. One interesting thing was they all don't necessarily want a home. They do want some place to go, a respite center or something like that, where they could maybe get a shower or do laundry and so it. I don't know, it confirmed a little bit maybe in that there may be a need for such thing here in Graham County. Lockers came out of that. People want a place to put their stuff so that everyone else doesn't steal it, which, you know, is something that I don't think about, but you would think about if you don't have a place to put your things, you know. So it was an interesting conversation. Eastern Arizona College hosted it, and we all had to write something down to report on what we could do. And so I wasn't even going to go to it because those three topics are not my expertise or something that I'm necessarily interested in. I mean, I'm interested in them, but I mean, there's other things that are more interesting to me sometimes than those three. So, but from a cost standpoint, I'm not an expert on those things, but I am somewhat of an expert on our budget and how we spend our money here at Graham County. So I let them know that I had to write this down, share the tremendous cost to the Graham County taxpayer as a result of substance use and the opportunities lost by result. I think if you ask, and I asked Michael Peterson what percentage of his cases, I said, are 90% of our cases that you see result of substance use, and he said, no, it's 97. But that's only because we got one guy, we may have hurt someone, and we don't think, he claims he was under the influence, but we don't think he was. So, otherwise it'd be higher. And so you just think about the lost, I think about the cost in PJ's world and Josh's world and even Julie's world, trying to balance our numbers and the cost that substance use has on our county. Not necessarily that people are locked up or in trouble in the correction system because of something illegal, but they are hurting each other or stealing from each other to get money to get more substance, legal or illegal. So there you go. There's a lot of great things that we could do every single year if we weren't spending so much money on that.
Thank you. Excellent report, and we'll talk offline as you have a chance to, I'd love to hear more of the discussions. Over the last couple of weeks, there was a Substance Abuse Coalition meeting that the supervisor or vice chairman and I attended, one remotely, the other one in person. And then we had a Veterans Day planning meeting that's coming up, and they'll have a parade and Field of Honor like they had last year. We'll continue to do this on Veterans Day and other activities. And they made some nice comments about how nice the lawn at the courthouse looks, and how much better things are looking there. Traveled on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to the County Supervisors Association Policy Summit, where we visit about possible items to propose for legislation, and then that's vetted by all the supervisors, big and small counties, whether they'll support it or not. And two of our proposals were accepted and voted on and approved. And Supervisor Smith was, and Dustin did an awful lot of and staff, a lot of the work to prepare the documentation and get and do some research in order to make these proposals. But we feel good about both of these proposals and look forward to having them be proposed at the legislature. And there's lots more work to do to get them to be supported. But that was all four of us were there. It turned out well, and it was well worth our time. Returned late for the fair luncheon and missed the parade because I was turning in votes. But I heard really nice things about the parade. One of the best ever. Crowds are good, and then the luncheon was really nice. So thank you very much to everyone for that. Thank you, supervisors, for running the show. I'm definitely not that essential. The next week. And things go very well in my absence, which is reassuring. The next week I went to a Safford City Council meeting where they discussed their utility bills having to increase their electric rates because the people that we purchase power through, the brokers, everything is based on gas generators rather than a diversified portfolio. It's just kind of like stocks. If you have one stock and it does poorly, then you suffer. And so rates will be going up. That was in the paper, and there was some good guidance and good leadership by Steve McGoy, who's a council member on that. Next day, Historical Society meeting. We're continuing to work toward a museum and raising funds. I had the opportunity to go to or attend, telephonically testify before the Arizona Corporation Commission on a SunZia transmission line hearing. They are, everything seems to be going well except our friends on the other side of the mountain in Cascabel along the San Pedro River want the transmission line to go somewhere else. And so they were pretty vocal, and there was a decision that's going to be made whether to go back into consultation and permitting for the relocation, which is really not feasible, economically feasible. And then finally, spent a good part of Thursday in a board hearing for the Department of Liquor License and Control, and then Saturday morning, and attended the 5K and 10K race, Safford Lions Community Mental Health Awareness Race. Had about 70 participants, a bit bigger and better than last year, and raised some funding for community mental health. And that's my report. Next, we need to approve our demands and handwritten warrants. And I'll entertain a motion,
So moved.
I'll second it.
and I'll make that unanimous. We have a bid for the sheriff's office. We know that Sheriff Allred is holding his breath to see what Kempton's it looks like they're the only bidder, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, they are. the only bidder. Yeah.
And the winner is?
So this is a fully equipped K9 SUV, which is something we don't have. This is funded through DPS Border. And their bid is $94,807.
Is that a Cadillac Escalade? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to refer that to staff for conformity and award.
Mr. Chairman, move it to staff and for review and conformity. Make a motion.
I'll second it.
I'll make that unanimous. And it's already approved. Did that come in? What was the department estimate on that?
So they have $100,000 from DPS Border, and we figured with all the equipment that's going into that for the K9, and we threw every piece of equipment we possibly could, new radios, new everything, and it's a Tahoe. But again, we put everything new, so we figured it was gonna come around 90,000.
Okay. Very good. Well, it's good to do business locally.
Yep.
It's great to do business locally. Okay, now, our last item before we adjourn is call to the public. Is there anyone online that's indicated, or anyone here? Okay. I'll move to adjourn then.
So moved.
I'll second it.
And I'll adjourn.